Yes, sir.
Wow, hey man, I got it first time.
Zoom is great.
It's almost like I practiced this.
Right? I'm rolling over here, man. Quomosexuals.
Oh man, hey, I got to tell you, some guests will watch the rating points and they won't answer the phone. I had some woman's publicist email me, said she's not coming on your program, and I said why? Because she saw your ranting points. I said, well, maybe you ought to do your intel a little bit before showtime. That'd help. How about that?
Right.
Well, Corey Daniel, hey man, I'll tell you what though, I love your last name though.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, Daniel's got to be one of the best names. It's rock solid. It's the name of truth, and
it is the Word of God. The Word of God. Daniel.
Whoa,
that's what it means.
Well, it might as well mean that. I mean, there was a book written with that name in it.
Absolutely, there was. Yeah. I got three first names: Corey, Michael, and then Daniel.
Really? Okay. So I can call you anything I want to, can I? Just don't call you late for dinner.
Right.
Well, hey man, we're going to be talking about you run a website called the Phoenix Enigma. What are you doing
there? I was just trying to turn that on. It's not coming on that for some reason. It must have dropped again. I don't know.
Really? What is it?
Yeah.
What
it's
is
just
it?
a light. It is. It's got, but what's nice, it kind of, we're in Phoenix here. It's dry, so it just kind of humidifies the air in the room. And
cool.
my beautiful fiance puts nice oils in it. It smells good, and So.
Okay, cool. I love it. Good. I love that touch, and you can tell her that it's on the broadcast, and people are seeing it.
Well done, honey.
Does she want to say hello?
Come on over here. Say hey. I don't mind showing off my beautiful fiance here. This is Alicia.
Hello, Alicia. Welcome to the Edge broadcast.
Thank you. I'm listening on the other end. Have a good show, guys.
Okay. Thanks so much. And Corey, and I love it. If you got any animals walking by, we will stop the show to look at the animals. So
Roger that.
We've had dogs and cats and everything else. Haven't had any birds. But now Australian Ben, one of our previous guests, of course, he's in Australia. He has a chair with a bobblehead doll. I think it's a President Trump. So it's got that little head moving all the time. Well, hey, you're in a hot spot. I would say Arizona. I would call the whole state sort of like a thin place. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah. Growing up here, I'm from Phoenix. I'm third generation Phoenician. We call ourselves Phoenicians if you're from here. I never thought it was a cool place to grow up because I grew up in the 80s. I was a victim of public education.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
They never taught us a damn thing worth knowing in school. Raised on television and some video games. And I moved out to the desert, kind of western Arizona when I was about 18. And, from my youngest years, I've been into gardening and nature and reading. I was a loner. I just read and read. I moved out. I got a pickup truck at 17. Moved to the desert, and I cowboyed for a couple of years up there, on a horse with it was old school. There was no machinery. It was roping and branding, and it was loading and the whole thing, the whole night, the whole old school Western Arizona. Mm-hmm. Wikiup's known as the some of the last brush cowboys. In the country, and it was high desert brush cowboying, but I got into reading and poetry and physics and witchcraft and the occult and the study of occult. And I, for 10 years, I ran the deserts like Huckleberry Finn up there and just lived like, God, like I wish everyone could. Fell in with men and prospectors and criminals and everything else. And, like Jimmy Buffett said, I read dozens of books about heroes and crooks and learned much from both of their styles. It's kind of like my 18 to 28, moved back to Phoenix. And we lost everything in the family business and went into the hotel business and got out of that and started guiding, kind of doing what I was doing anyways and getting paid for it. I became a professional guide and started writing and marrying kind of my love of knowledge and occulted ancient history and poetry and written knowledge, esoteric, hidden knowledge. And I started looking around my city of Phoenix as a concierge when I was in the hotels in Scottsdale before I had the beard, right? I clean up pretty good when I have to for court and whatnot. And I started writing about ancient, mysterious Phoenix, and that's the birth of my website, The Phoenix Enigma, or the Hidden Phoenix. People don't know, but Phoenix is an ancient land. We're built on the remnants of an ancient culture called the Hohokam or the Hohokam. That was the culture here before the tribes were established after Western European civilization came in, the Spanish primarily, and then the 1800s, the founding fathers. And when you realize how occulted or hidden Phoenix is specifically, but Arizona and the West, and you get into the history of the West, Billy the Kid, Freemason; Pat Garrett, Freemason; Buffalo Bill Cody, Freemason; Travis, Freemason; Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, all the guys that died at the Alamo, big old Freemason plaque right there on the front. Buffalo Bill Cody, all Masons. Meriwether Lewis, 33rd degree Scottish Rite Mason. When you start digging into the history of the West, who else we got? Cypress Avery, right? Head of the Albert Pike Society for the Highway Society, the guy that built Route 66, 32nd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, building it to make way for the roads for a guy that's, Ford, who's making 33rd degree Mason, moving west. They set the infrastructure for the entire United States. They rolled west. Anyway, I start uncovering stuff like this left and right, and this married perfectly in with my knowledge. I practiced witchcraft for 22 years. I did. I openly did. I'm proud of it. I don't, while simultaneously studying the Bible. I stopped practicing witchcraft when I grew through my religion and dropped the unnecessary attributes and just pulled out the universal truths. And today I'm just an occultist. So an occultist is someone who studies hidden knowledge, the same way a criminal studies criminal knowledge, or crime.
Okay. Well, Corey, first off, you're not going to put a hex on me, are you?
Negative, sir.
Okay.
I don't do that anymore.
Okay. Good to know. Now, does Route 66 go through there?
It goes parallel to it's the I-40 basically from Santa Monica all the way to Chicago.
Does it happen to be on a ley line? Just asking for a friend.
Well, there's ley lines all over, absolutely. Many ley lines pass through Route 66. But if you take the miles of Route 66 and convert those into Scottish miles and divide it by 66, it comes out to 32.9, which is the closest you can get to being a 33rd degree Mason. Cypress Avery was a politician. And I wrote articles. If you guys want to go to my website here while we're talking about this, go to thephoenixenigma.com, do a little search and put in Route 66, de-occulting Route 66. It'll pop up. All my work is there. I show it all. It's totally free. There's no paywall.
When you say, and I see that on your website in a number of places, de-occulting, does that just mean exposing?
Yep, like demystifying. De-occulting. Yep.
All right. Now being in Arizona, are there petroglyphs out there?
There's petroglyphs as well as pictographs. Absolutely.
Who made those?
When?
So it's not who, it's when?
Who made those when? Going back, we have modern day society here. We have the pioneers who came into Arizona. They made quite a bit of petrographs. Any petrograph over 100 years old is considered historical. Many of them made those, and those are now historical artifacts. Going back prior, you got some trappers that came through here with the Walker Party that made some. You got the Spanish that made some in here when they were marking gold trails for Coronado and Cortez. Going back previous, you have all the tribes. You got a lot of Pima in this area, all the way to the Apache, to the Yavapai. Prior to that were the cultures. In Phoenix, we had the Hohokam going north, the Sinaguans, the Mugian culture, the Salado culture. That's my wheelhouse, is ancient Native American history in the estate. Before that, we have the archaic tribes and the basket weaving cultures. We don't know much about them. But yeah, there's petroglyphs and pictographs all over the place. And they really are sacred sites. I mean, when you walk in, you're like, wow, that's got to be like, you can tell kind of how old they are roughly if it's in how exposed on the wall it is with the because they carve into the patina on the rock on the patina, like you get like your copper gets patinaed.
Yeah, well, I'm about ready to go to a cantina. Give me something to drink while we're talking.
Roger that.
So let me ask you though. When you talk about, say, Route 66, maybe Route 9, I think you got a whole link on your website of number nine. I was going to get that audio, forgot to get it, but at least I can say it about perfect. But are those hidden symbols or when the government names a highway 666 or 99 or 7, or is it just random?
Both it can be, and I don't pretend to know all of it. There's a lot of competing people competing for power, just like in modern day politics. You got parties competing, you got different organizations. You have the Jesuits in here competing for power over the entire country. Lincoln hated the damn Jesuits. He went off on the Jesuits all the time and said they were the cause for the war of Northern Aggression, also known as the Civil War up north. Down south, it's known as the War of the War of Northern Aggression, and they were fomenting that. You have Jews, quite a bit of Jews out there still in politics and in the media.
Okay,
you have different people all over the place.
Hold on, is Arizona, man? Was you with the North or the South?
Arizona was slated to be a Southern state. In fact, one of the last wars in the Civil War, about battles, was fought in Arizona at Picacho Peak. No one knows that. And there was a little brush up between a couple shots were fired, and they figured, oh God, we're really far from Mason Dale. Let's stop shooting each other and call it quits. But there were a couple shots fired here in just east of Phoenix.
Now, as we talked before the show, you were around there when the Phoenix lights came flying over.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? What's your end result after years of study? I'm sure
it happened. It absolutely happened. A buddy called me and said, dude, go outside. There's something happening. Look up. And I looked. I was in North Phoenix, and I looked up, and I saw this thing. It was just going over Squaw Peak. We call it. They've named it Piestewa Peak now, but it's all the liberals got a hold of it and changed the name. And because they said squaw means something derogatory. No, it's not. It's just it's an unmarried woman. And anyway, it was going south over Squaw Peak, and I looked, and then he came over. We sat on the rooftop. And we kept looking the rest of the night to see it was big. It was the light in the front and the two going down the side in a chevron, and it was big. It was big, about a mile or two up for sure. They came out and said that that we sat on the roof and looked. A couple hours later, Luke Air Force Base dropped some flares off to the west on the west side of the valley, and we saw that going because you can see them dropping flares all the time back. I don't know if they still do it or not, but I don't pay attention. And about 3 days later on the news, they came out and said, "Oh, it was a UFO flap, but don't worry, people. It was just Luke Air Force." And about 60,000 people in Phoenix said, "Oh no, it wasn't." And they called and screamed and yelled, and they had to do another story. Symington came out, went on stage with that big old tall fake alien, and people got ticked off at him. And he came out and apologized, said, "No, I really did see it." Other congressmen came out and said, "I saw it too." They found out that they had to shut down traffic at the Sky Harbor Airport as security when it was going over. There's a lot happened that day. There was also another day and a half later, or 2 days later, 2 nights later, another one was seen up in North Scottsdale over the McDowell Mountain Range up in that area. When they did the investigation, they found out it basically came out of the Vegas area and shot at a kind of 45-degree angle down the state through Williams area, and it kind of began to straighten back out and come south, and it flew over the Bradshaw, all at Chino Valley to the Bradshaw. They had traced it all the way from Nevada. And then they had tracked it all the way down into Mexico. So it was real. It happened. It was the largest UFO sighting ever seen in the history of the world.
And like I told you on earlier, we had Dr. Lynn Katai. In fact, she's made one of our famous show liners when I asked her about that. But when you talk about UFOs, have you done any research or any studies that indicate there are Sasquatch activity where there is UFO sightings?
In my dealings with Native Americans, and I know members of the Yavapai tribe, Navajo, Hopi, primarily, and I know a couple Apaches. Every single one of them believes in the Star People, and they believe that we were seeded here from the Star People. That is collectively within their mythos. And by the way, the word myth does not mean fake and made up. The word myth means truths. The myths are the truths. In today's lexicon, they change that around. Myth means truth. So when you talk about the Greek mythology, that means our truths or our origins. All of the Native Americans talk about the Star People coming down, seeding us, and every one of them have a different name for Bigfoot, Sasquatch.
When you look at the ancient pyramids and the statues they had. They always have a cat god or a statue with a cat head. Were those actual entities, or was just their imagination?
I don't know for sure. I can surmise. When I look into the ancient, most ancient religion that's documented with documented writing, we get to the Indian Vedics. The Indian Vedics talked about hybrids, chimeras, gods,
Chimeras.
even the Hanuman. Hanuman's half. He's the monkey god, right?
Oh,
Yep. And he had to go save a princess and do all this stuff. They talk about big castles coming out of the sky, floating, and mana flying back and forth and shooting each other. Big, talk about all that stuff. They did Star Wars. You get into Greek mythology, and it talks about hybrid people and animals. You got the centaurs. You got the Tauruses. On and on.
right. The centaurs is another one. I mean, were they actual beings?
In the days of Noah, as the misty days of the Bible talk about, Genesis, I think that there's nothing new under the sun. I think this rock we're on here, we've been here over and over and over. There's nothing, and I'm with you. Politically, I'm a conservative, and there's reasons I'm a conservative that harken back to biblical knowledge, as well as esoteric and occulted knowledge back there. All of it. I couldn't not be a conservative. I don't believe in global warming. Global warming, it happens cyclically. I mean, global warming happens. It's a cycle. It's in concert with the sun. Native Americans moved around all the time because it got hot, it got cold, there were droughts.
Well, if there's global warming, how do you explain Texas? Well, isn't that a shocker? Wasn't that a shocker?
If this global warming keeps up, we're all going to freeze to death, man.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. This is the people that are watching the show are sending in questions.
Sure.
Corey, so let's get to a few of them. Put Yahweh first out of the live chat says, Corey, are there ancient Hebrew inscriptions on rocks in Arizona?
Hebrew. Yes, there are. Yes, there are. He might know something about that. There's one in Sedona. It's a very popular one up in Sedona, and some of the other tribes talk about it as well. The one I'm thinking of right now off the top is it looks like a Hebrew symbol. I knew a medicine man up with the Wallapai tribe. I got to spend a day with a medicine man up there, sitting in a truck drinking coffee. And when it's raining outside, I was on a scientific deal with them. We were citing locations for windmills, and he was telling me some ancient story. I mean, I'm with a medicine man for 8 hours, right? I'm subtly interrogating this guy, and because of my botany knowledge, we're talking about all the plants. So we got along really good. He was a good guy. He's passed on now, but he told me a cave just beneath us where we were, down the side of the mountain into the Grand. We were right on the edge of the Grand Canyon. And he says, there's a cave down there. He said, I was bear hunting here when I was 13, and I went in because it was thundering, and I had to take shelter there for 2 or 3 days. And he says there were these symbols on the rock in there, and I wrote it down, and I went home. And it would be another 15, 20 years before we got a TV. This is like in the 30s or 40s, right? He guy was old. He's like 80, and he's like, and then it would be another X amount of years before I found a book, and I figured out they were Chinese, and they were Chinese writings in the Grand Canyon. There's Hebrew writings in the Sedona area. If you go to Big Bend, Texas, there's a very famous story of these tablets that were found halfway up a waterfall on the right-hand side in a little cave. They documented them, they had them, they photographed them, they copied them. They fell apart. There were these clay tablets, and they were written from a guy who was on like a mission, a religious mission, and these tablets were his last will and testament of his family and who he was there for on behalf. And he wrote about a king and said, I hope I serve God and my king and my family well, and now's my time. I won't never see them again. And it was in an ancient Hebrew.
All right. Let's get to another question then. What about Route 66 in Virginia? Does that thing go across the country?
I'm not familiar with it. I don't know. I don't know. I just know the Route 66. What do they call it? America's back road. What do they call it? What's the America's highway? America's byway. What do they call that?
I don't know what they call that damn thing, but I can tell you what though. Here in India, no place, or some people call it Indianapolis. I call it India, no place. Or if you're a conspiracy theorist, such as yourself, and wait a minute, what makes something move from a theory to a fact? Are you a conspiracy factualist or a conspiracy theorist?
I'm a conspiracy analyst. I analyze conspiracy.
Well, there you go.
See, it's their conspiracy. It's not mine. I'm just going through the facts here, and I de-occultum.
Well,
the funny thing about conspiracy.
de-occult this for me, Corey. Okay, so we
Yeah.
have India No Place, where I was born. Then we have.
Is that really what it's called?
But it's also known as Indianapolis. Now you would recognize Diana as a goddess, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
So there you
that's
go.
interesting.
Would that fit into the Phoenix? Is that an enigma?
Indianapolis, Polis, the city of Diana. It'd be the city of Diana.
And of course, no place, like I say, or Nap. It used to be called Naptown. It was burnt down a couple of years ago with the riots. I don't go there. It's still parts are still boarded up, but Indianapolis was laid out by Masons.
Phoenix was too.
So them bastards is everywhere, man. They laid out the DC. I mean, but wait a minute now. Isn't a Mason just a group of guys that know how to use graphs and stuff and build stuff? Are they just builders?
Masonry is a lot of things to a lot of people at different times. And that's the beauty of this organization. Masonry came around in the 1600s. It's not that old, but it is a repository and a wealth of hidden, ancient, occulted knowledge in symbols. And that knowledge is taught through symbols. There's a hierarchy there. The way that Masonry the way that Masonry works is you need to be three things to be a member. You need to be male. You need to knock on their door and ask, and you need to believe in a higher power. They don't care what it is. Buddha, Jesus, they don't care. Because at the top, they realize that it's all the same thing they're talking about. There's many names for the same God, and they get to the physics and the energy beneath the going. We can get into that some of that if you want to, but why and that really ticks off Christians, really ticks them off. But you do denounce Christianity, I believe, in the 17th or 18th at one point, not directly, but indirectly within one of your initiations. Within this system, this graduated system of hierarchy, and you can go through many. Levels, degrees at one time. You can go through three of them at one time. First of all, let it be known, there's only three levels to Masonry. The entered apprentice, the fellowcraft Mason, and the master Mason. If you're a master Mason, you're the highest degree Mason that there is. Okay? Within there are now different appellate courts or things that you can go to. Go to the York Rite, where there's appellate rights and rankings, 13 in that rite. And you can go to the Scottish Rite, where there's 33. They kept the 33rd one secret until a couple of years ago, early 2000s, then they admitted that was really there. If you're going along the route from 16 to 17 to 18, whatever, they ask you questions. And there's also a dark path within there. So let's say you're an initiate and I'm giving you the ritual to go up and rank you to the 23rd, and you answer wrong. And you answer truthfully and you answer wrong, and I can't use you. Well, I'll say, congratulations, sir, you are now on the 24th level. And I give you this information. Well, it's empty knowledge. It's called the dark path. You will not be illuminated, and I will not use you and tap you for businesses. You won't get to move any further up, but you'll think you are, and you'll be on the dark path, not the light path. So they lie to each other within there as well. And it's self-flushing out. What it does is people that take the initiative and have the natural skill and mettle, they will be promoted from within and pulled from the ranks. So if you're ambitious and you're smart and you have something to offer, you'll rise as high as you possibly can, and then they'll direct you in there and incorporate you into the infrastructure. And what Masons are, they are the building blocks, if you will. They are the worker bees of this nation and many others. They handle real estate. They handle farming. They handle shipping, anything with goods,
Corey,
product, services, all that.
Corey, let me ask you something. Did you see the vote to certify the election in the House of Representatives with Mike Pence?
Yeah, remember what it was.
I'm going to the point where he was at the podium and he reached down and a guy shook his hand and gave him a gold coin. Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
What the hell was it?
That was a global reset coin. It was the economic reset, how they were redoing everything. That's what it was.
Are you doing some kind of Illuminati symbol on
Negative.
me?
It was the coin.
You said you were going to cast a spell on me, man.
It's coin.
That's something. Wait a minute. It's like a
coin.
Is that like a duck?
You know, as a YouTuber, well, I got my YouTube channel taken away. They canceled me. But you got to be careful what you do because people like, oh, he just flashed the 666. He just did the Illuminati eye. It's like, come on, man, calm down. I got to talk with my hands here.
Yeah, my show got deleted last week. I got a strike because we're talking about Cooties 19. But let me ask you something. Speaking of numbers, you said the number 9 is everywhere in plain sight. Add a 1, you got 19. What happened to Cooties 1 through 18? Is there something significant about 19?
2019. That's when they launched it. 2019.
That's all that is? You can't give me something like freaky? It's freaky to me.
Well, you know, if you want to get into it, I mean, it's when you go through numerology, numerology follows geometry. And how do you say this? Numbers embody certain frequencies, and numbers both in geometry as well as when they manifest, and that's how numerology is used within witchcraft. You have 0 in the beginning. There's 0. That's emptiness. That's void. Okay. Then you have 1. 1 is God or the Creator. Okay. God was also there when there was void, right? So you got 0 and you got 1.
Okay.
You got 2. God divides himself in 2, and you have polarity now. You have good, bad, light, dark, male,
yin
female,
and yang.
Yin and yang, right? You got that. From there, and as you want to do that, you go from 1 to 2. Now you have a Vesica Pisces, right? If you look on the Washington Monument coming down, Washington Monument sits into 2 circles where they cross over. Look up Vesica Pisces, and out of that Vesica Pisces is the 1. That's your 2. From there, you do your sacred geometry, and you can do a line across and up. Now you have a pyramid, and that's 3. From there, you can draw your square. This is sacred geometry, going from a standard circle to Vesica, to your triangle, to your square, to all your polygons. And each of these shapes embody certain angles, okay, and degrees on those angles. And those degrees, you get the numerology from them. The numerology fits into the higher and higher energetic fields as they relate to intent on Earth, wrapped up in a spell or a ritual. And you can imbibe, let's say, let's say you got the Alfred P. Murrah building in Oklahoma City before the U.S. government decided to blow it up, right? And blame it on Timothy McVeigh. By the way, I met him. I knew him. Okay. He lived in Kingman when I was in. Oh yeah, yep. I met him 3 times. Yep. Get that later if you want. But you had 3 sets of 11 columns. That's 33. Alfred P. Murrah was a 33rd degree Mason as well. You get into the numerology and they talk themselves with it. It also imprints a vibration, right? The number 9 itself is extremely powerful. 6 is the number of man. 7 is perfection. 8 is infinity or rebirth. Okay. 9 is infinite possibility. The number 9 can go infinite out or infinite in. Mathematically, 9 does all kinds of crazy things. And you find it incorporated into projects, into light rail systems, into infrastructure. When they're trying to grow base infrastructure, you'll find 9 quite a bit. Okay, so wait, and then back to 10. The next one is 10. You've gone through 9 digits, 1 through 9. Then you get back to 10, which is 10 is a 1, back to God with an exponent with a 0, and that is completeness. Okay, you can't do better than 10. But then you got 11, and 11 is disrespect. It's not obeying because it's trying to be better than the Creator. You're trying to one up it. 12 is again completion a different way. 13 is rebellion. And these numbers, because of the base unit with the as they're put together, begin taking on certain vibrational frequency, and you see them carried out in our culture specifically. They're reflected and they resonate within the Bible. When you get into the Bible, you can get into all kinds of numerology.
Well, let me ask you something. I've heard that kicked around, talk about sacred geometry. Does that mean it has power?
Absolutely.
And what kind of power is it, and where is this power drawn from?
So if you go to the Capitol building, a gentleman wrote about, I forget his name or author, what even the book's called. It's popular. It's been out there. He wrote a book about the dome. Okay. And within that dome, the dome resonates at a specific frequency. And that dome allows you, they found quite literally, that frequency that is in there when vibrations come back and forth, it changes your voice and retunes it, and it comes back. And it is the perfect frequency for clarity of thought and imagination. Okay.
I'm having thoughts right now.
Yeah. You have stadiums, right? What is a stadium? People think of a football stadium or baseball stadium. Baseball is nothing but mathematics. You have the square and the compass coming down. That's the field, the square and the compass.
Look at that. Hey, let me ask something. Does 45, is that a magic number?
45 is 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. You can take any two numbers, reduce it down to a single digit, and that's the base root number on it. That's 9. Mm-hmm. That's infinite power going out and coming in.
So one could say
Trump's a 9.
Trump is 9.
President was a Trump, yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely was.
Okay. All right, this question from Canada says, Corey, do certain words, numbers, sacred geometry, and sound frequencies access back doors in the human mind without our knowledge?
Back and front, absolutely, and vibrational.
Goes both ways, huh?
Without doubt, words are swords. Words are swords. The spoken word, abracadabra, that is, so let it be. Mm-hmm. God spoke the world into existence, right? Mm-hmm. The Creator spoke the word into existence. He spoke. When you get into, well, heck, and then to riff off of that, what's the first words in the Bible? Genesis 1:1, sir. Come on.
In the beginning.
Keep going.
Was the Word, and words with God, and Word was God, and all things were made by Him. Without Him was not anything made. It was made. In Him was life, and the life was light of men. Wait a minute, that's New Testament. All right,
that's New Testament. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1.
Okay.
In the beginning, time. God created the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. Time, space, and matter are known as the continuum. You cannot have time and space without matter. You cannot have space without matter and time. You cannot have the other two. The physicists all agree that time, space, and matter came into existence simultaneously. Because what is time? Time is the decay, the measurement of the decay of matter. You need two objects floating in space in order to have time. Okay. That being said, the very existence of this seeable universe that we're all in right now are the first words written in this amazing book. And I'm an occultist. I'm not even a Christian. And I understand the value of what's in here. This is the greatest occulted book ever written. The absolute greatest. If I was on an island for the rest of my life, only one book to read, it would easily be the King James Version Bible, with all the coding, all the numerology, all the knowledge, the timeless knowledge. This thing is written for anybody at any education level, in any station in life. Jesus taught in parables because we learn in stories, right? And then there's stuff about merchants in here. In Leviticus, it tells you how to set up a town and how to grow and how not to mix your cattle and how not to mix your fowl, right? And keep everything pure. And that's talking about genetic lines, animal husbandry. Talks about money, how to have a jubilee, and how to keep it from getting into monopolies, Jewish law, all that stuff. And it's written for kings. It tells you how to be fair and just and deal with your neighbors. And then it tells you about your spiritual salvation. And that's all surface level. Mm-hmm. Under that level, there is knowledge that people keep finding with the codes and the code systems. I have no doubt in the basements of DARPA, at MIT or Texas Instruments, there are military people ripping this Bible apart right now for the knowledge in it and bending space and time with the knowledge found in this book. No doubt in my mind.
Wow. So I guess then you might be a Big Bang denier?
Yeah, you can say that. I'm a creationist. I believe there's no way you can look at this world and
I'm sorry.
Think that we were created.
You're a Big Bang analyst. I'm sorry. All right. Hey, Doreen 8951. She puts a number in her name. Maybe we need to diagnose why she uses the avatar name 8951. But she says, why do I keep seeing 111?
I'm still working on that one. I got a lot of theories. I'm not ready to come up with it yet. 111 is, you find a lot of places. As I've been working on that for a couple of years now. I don't know. Some people do. Some people say that they do.
Mm-hmm. I've been seeing my number. I keep seeing 17. So I'm working on that one myself.
Well, 17 is huge. 17 is what's been pumped into our collective consciousness through the mainstream media, and it's resonating. 17 is a crazy number. Absolutely crazy what it does. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up here for you.
Hit me. Hit me.
I didn't realize what all 17 was till I really dug into it. The Bible, 17 symbolizes overcoming the enemy and complete victory.
Okay.
Let's see. Jesus traveled 17 years for his preparation before public ministry. Jesus gained complete victory over death when God resurrected him near sunset on Nisan 17. 17 nations are present at the Pentecost. God began the flood earth through the rain on the 17th of the second Hebrew month. Noah's ark came to rest in the mountains of Ararat at 17,000 foot elevation on the 17th of the seventh month.
Whoa,
the book of Corinthians, it goes on and on and on. Psalms 83, verse 6 to 11, with 17 total enemies of Israel. Apostle James wrote the epistle 17 years in the crucifixion of Jesus. Daniel 7 beasts and 7 heads and 10 horns, 17. It goes on and on. 17 occurs 10 times in the King James Bible. I list them all there. And it goes into Catholicism. Jewish law counts 17 blessings. MIT, the least random number. The least random number is 17. Study after study after study. When they say pick a number random 1 through 20, 17 pops up the most. They don't know why. 17 gun salute in the U.S. Army. Number of flames emanating from a grenade cap badge at the Grenadier Guards. On and on and on. You find it all over the place. I didn't realize it keeps going. It's one of the longest ones I have here in terms of the. If you go to my page, go to number studies at the top and drop down, and there's several numbers in there that I've. I list all these.
I was trying to write it down, but my pen ran out of ink. All right, so let me get to this question from Scotty. It says, Corey, Tesla talked about the answer to the universe being 369. What did he mean by that?
I don't know. No one knows.
Is that why they killed him?
That's probably why they killed him. Yeah. He had a lot of knowledge.
I didn't say if they killed him.
I'm pretty sure they did. Same way, Meriwether Lewis was murdered too.
Well, I like the guy.
Yeah, he was a good guy. He was a high-ranking Mason, but he was going to throw plans. He was going to throw a monkey wrench in the plans of the Louisiana Purchase. It was political at the time.
Hey! By the way, did Lewis and Clark, when they went traveling across, did they ever see any Sasquatch?
They didn't talk about that. However, there's a whole bunch of pages ripped out of his journal.
Okay.
Tons of pages ripped out. He did talk about the Mandan tribe had blue eyes and blonde hair. He talked about a number of valleys that are no longer there because immediately afterwards, the Army Corps of Engineers came in and flooded out these valleys. Shortly thereafter, we had the Reclamation Act passed 1903, 1904. They flooded out the Grand Canyon. They flooded out the Tennessee Valley. They flooded out all kinds of ancient civilized. Oh, yes, they were. They're bearing. When you talk about Lewis and Clark coming over, they were grabbing all of the good soil, all of the good irrigable land, all the good trade routes, the mountains, the farmland, the ranch land, the lumber for the Masons to follow. That was a scout mission. The guy, Clarence Dunton, who mapped out the Grand Canyon, he was a polymath. He was a high-ranking Mason.
Corey, speaking of the Grand Canyon, why are there a lot of locations in the Grand Canyon that seem to have Egyptian names?
That was because of Clarence Dunton. Clarence Dunton named all those.
Did they find Egyptian artifacts there?
No, they did not find Egyptian.
Did they find giant bones there?
I have spoken to people who have seen giant bones recovered from the Grand Canyon. Yes, a guy fell out of Utah, a researcher I worked with a couple years ago. G.E. Kincaid never said that he found Egyptian stuff there. He said that he found of an Oriental descent. He described a big Buddha-like thing. He described catacombs that could house maybe 50,000 people, piles of white powder inside, hardened copper weaponry, mummified remains on the wall. He said that his employer came out and this had to have been, the article appeared April 5th, 1909. By this time in the Phoenix Gazette, by this time, April 5th, right? 1909 is when the spur off the Santa Fe was completed out of Williams and made its way to the South Rim. And they said all those artifacts got rolled back up to the Smithsonian. I wrote a whole
Yeah.
article on my website about
Seems like
that.
they've stolen a lot. I'd like to see that Smithsonian locked area they've got there. Now, I think you might have addressed this already, but Barbara Briggs asked for you personally, do you believe the Holy Bible is inspired Word of God?
I'm not a Christian. However, I believe that whomever, whatever created us as a human species left middle management, and I believe that they left this. They left middle management with the monarchy and the bloodlines from Egypt, Samaria. Samaria was a turnkey civilization, and how do you leave middle management? Well, you just tweak their DNA and you make them incredibly that much smarter.
Okay.
Trigger
word. That's a trigger word. Are you
Which one?
are you taking the vaccine?
Negative.
Do you believe that the vaccine will alter DNA?
Oh,
I'm trying to get the show banned early.
the vaccine is not a vaccine. That's not a word for it. I spoke to a doctor two days ago, and he said, no, it's not a vaccine. Vaccine is a medical defined term. The vaccine is an mRNA scripter. It's designed to come in and rescript your DNA and create new cells. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be writing new genetic material, utilizing yours to hijack it to make new organic material in your body. That's not the definition of a vaccine. Mm-hmm. That's a new medical instrument, and it's still experimental. And the doctor told me, he said, I don't know we don't know what it's going to do, but you should get it. I'm like, I need a new doctor. Thank you, sir.
Well, my definition on that is WTF. All right. Teflon coat. You might say, man, what kind of Christian are you? Well, I'm a hybrid. All right. Teflon coat says, do the Masons believe in aliens?
They probably have their own, within Masonry, people have their own belief systems. There is the wiggle room and the freedom to believe whatever you wish within Masonry. I would assume some of them do. And by aliens, I think we are them. I think we were seeded. If the Native Americans and the ancient Indians and the Bible talks about, extraterrestrials all the time and starships coming down and all kinds of spooky stuff like that, higher technology. In the Bible, it says how many times God will shake the heavens. God will roll the heavens like a scroll. He will fold the heavens we'll just take heavens and do dimensions in that space, the dimensions. And you have higher technology and God working, bending space time. And that's the definition of a creator. All
right. Do you believe in or have you astral projected?
Yes, absolutely. I have.
And where'd you
go?
It's
a real thing. I went all over. I can tell you what, it is a discipline, and it's like learning to wiggle your ears. It takes time. Some people can do it naturally. I wiggle my ears, Some people, it's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people may never be able to do it. But there are techniques. There are people that teach this. When I was living up in the desert in my little trailer, I'd go outside and it takes a lot of meditation and a lot of determination. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what,
peyote?
No peyote. No. You do it sober. You do not do it with anything in your system at all because it's counterproductive. Peyote has a place, but not for astral projecting. You don't want to do that. You can do other stuff when you're on a peyote trip, but for day to day practicing within sorcery, you do not want to be high on anything or low when you're doing out of body experience.
Sounds to me when you come back, you might come in the wrong body, man. You won't know where the hell you're at.
Well, you know what? And ancient Jewish texts talk about this as well. You can create. I'll tell you one thing that I did, and it took me about 6 months, and it got scary, and I quit because there's energies and powers in this world that will start, like all energy, it'll begin resonating and you'll begin drawing to you. For instance, like if you take a violin and you tune it to like a perfect C, okay, and you put it onto your table, you get about 3 feet away and you take another violin to a perfect C and you draw the bow across the string. The one on the table is going to start vibrating too, okay, if it's within and it's called resonance. Okay. You can take a bunch of grandfather clocks and put them on your wall and start the pendulums different times. Within a couple of weeks, they're going to be going the same way together. Take a bunch of women, put them in a workplace, they're going to start menstruating Very, very close.
Whoa.
Absolutely. Ask any woman out there. Hey, crew, how many people, women out there? Tell them if it's true or not. And
wait. I want to hear. I want to hear. If she got the answer. She gonna back you up?
My woman?
Yeah.
Babe?
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
It's absolutely true. Yep.
Absolutely true.
Ask your audience. Everyone will tell you. It's pheromones. And we communicate through pheromones and we have more than 5 senses. We have way more than 5 senses. 5 is what they teach us in your slave school. You go to the occult and there's more senses, 6 senses that you're taught. Even within the military now, you're taught how to tap into your subconscious. It's called biofeedback training.
I'll tell you one thing I'm not going to do. I'm not going to tap into my feminine self. Okay, I'm type A. I'm staying that way. So I'm just putting that out there. All right,
we need more alpha males, man.
All right, here's another question for you from MDS 1818 out of the live chat. Do you think the Jesuits were behind the killing of Abraham Lincoln?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Why would somebody hate OA? Why they got to be haters?
Jesuits have been trying to control everything for a while. So when you get into Williams or Wilkes Booth, he was a Mason, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who was his grandfather? Great grandfather. I think it was his grandfather. His grandfather was the same Booth that the Rothschilds sent to India to open up the trade routes. And it was the same man. And what did he do? He started importing and moving opium around and locking down those spice channels and whatever. That was the same Booth. And he started an organization down there called the Salvation Army. And what's their symbol?
Oh,
the red shield.
Oh boy,
the red shield.
You know,
right?
There are a bunch of people over there doing 666 stuff. All right, Rose wants to
know. Well, no. What's red shield? That's their symbol, right? With the Salvation Army is the red shield.
Is that blood? I don't know.
No. What does Rothschild mean in English? It means the red shield. The Salvation Army was started by Wilkes Booth's grandfather for Rothschild to open up drug smuggling in order to get opium, to get a control on the market. The same way the Clintons moved cocaine into this country, the same way the Kennedys moved whiskey down, the same way the Bushes moved cocaine. Ain't nothing new under the sun, Daniel. It's the same party.
They're all in on it, is what you're confirming with me. All right, Rose says, Corey, do you have any info about Isaac Cappy's death?
I'm the lead investigator into the death of Isaac Cappy. I've been doing that for the last year and a half. I've been working with his mother. Alicia, you just met here, was the last friend to see Isaac Cappy alive at his house. Wow. I've been investigating his, in my opinion, murder off the Transwestern Bridge under Route 66 for the last year and a half. That's a very serious topic. That's a 3-hour show if you want to get into that. And that's all by itself. Mm-hmm. If you go to my website, who asked that?
They just deleted it. I think Jade, who asked that last question there? Anyway, it'll come back to us.
If the viewer listener wants to know that, go to my website and scroll halfway down the front page, and you'll see the Isaac Cappy mind map. Click on that right there. It'll take you to the mind map. All the investigation from my on the ground interviews to the phone interviews to the documents to the official reports to the occulted and esoteric surroundings are in there. That's a very big topic. It's a very serious topic, but yes, I know everything about that.
Wow.
I know probably more than anyone about that at this. And I'm not bragging. It's just a fact. We are the lead investigators on that.
Okay. Somebody, you mentioned that, talk about occultism in the very beginning. Teflon Code out of the live chat says, Corey, can you show us the secret handshake and other gestures?
I mean, I know there are. You can do like the thumb around the top. I've never learned. No one ever told me, but you can see them doing them in their, when like Bush is shaking hands or, what's his name? There's a whole bunch of them. You see them all the time. I think one of them is where you root the thumb over a little bit more. There's one where you rub the pinky. There's all kinds of them, and they're for different initiates. So the first level will do one, and that'll tell them what degree you are. They have secret stuff. They use them in ritual. It's all pretty open now.
Well, let me ask you. So I mentioned earlier about that coin that Mike Pence got. Again, he's from this state I'm in, Indiana, or in Diana. Okay, look at this. See, it's twice. Indianapolis. So we all about godless freaks over here. But is that guy possessed? I mean, look at him. Got flies landing on his head. What's wrong with him?
My intelligence and sources tell me he's a pedophile. I know it's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. There's a lot of rumblings about that. The currency of the elite is pedophilia.
That's going to get me banned right there.
No, I talked about that quite a bit on my channel.
Okay,
it was the Ronin 19 that got me banned, as well as the 5G. Oh God, they don't.
Well, I think whatever guy's problem is, you ought to go read the Constitution. All right, another question coming in for you. There's flooding in here. We'll just have to work them in if we can. Are bloodlines specific to rank with the Masons?
The Masons, to what my research has told me, not really. All men are equal within Masonry. Now, within bloodlines, you're going to naturally move up higher in society based on, your genetics. I'm what you refer to as a racial realist. I believe that there is a difference between races. There's a very real difference between the biology of.
Start digging. I'm going to hand you a shovel on this one. Go.
No, seriously. But it's very respectful. I'm not a racist at all. But for instance, I'll never get sickle cell anemia, right? For instance, somebody who eats cilantro will taste soap, and I'll taste a wonderful herb. We have different biological, chemical receptors developed and isolated over different parts of the world. Europeans grew up at a certain latitude where it froze 6 months out of the year. So anyone who didn't put away food and plan for long-term thinking froze and died, right? So you are left with a lot of long-term thinkers who plan for the future, right? If you live at the equator, anywhere around, you got food year round. It's always warm. You don't. So that trait didn't get put into those people. That being said, there's all kinds of other variables that come in there, but you can look at the numbers for shootings, look at the numbers for all this stuff. In my opinion on race and bloodlines, what gets into bloodlines, is that you need to identify where the problems are in society so you can fix them. So we can fix the homeless problem, so we can fix the fatherless problem, so we can fix the crime, identify it, be real about it, and say, listen, X amount of people in jail are this race, X amount of serial killers are this race. White people were serial killers forever.
You can't say that, man.
We're the head of serial killers. We were.
Oh, yeah.
1960. Until 1960.
We kill more people than anybody.
White people are the African bees of the human species. Absolute fact. Numbers don't lie. The numbers are racist, if you're going to say that. Mm-hmm. But to identify the problem and stop the serial killers, you have to identify where they're at to go find them, right? To fix the homeless problem or the fatherless problem in homes, you have to say, why is this happening, where it's happening, and don't be politically correct about it. Political correctness is thought control, and that's slavery, man. It's absolute slavery. And when you can't say what is because it's no longer politically correct and you get censored, well, you're living in a damn prison. Only the walls are so far out there, you can't see them. So you think that you're in an Opie happy field eating hay, and you're being fed a bunch of garbage on TV by your captors, and beer and sports and football. You just can't see the damn fence out there. But it's out there.
Wow.
It's out there. We're in a prison. We're in a mental prison, a chemical prison, entertainment prison, a news prison, a vibrational prison. Absolutely.
Well, Corey, I'm about busting out of prisons, man. And the only way we can do that is talk about the truth and the things that really are. All right, here's another question for you from Australian Ben. On 9/11, the teacher in the White House was commanding that the teacher spell plane. I believe that's when George Bush, that cheat milk toasty freak, was sitting at a chair, and then a teacher came over and said, "Spell plane must hit steel." Was this confirmation of black magic?
Absolutely, it was. It was a ritual. Now let me tell y'all something, because I used to practice magic. I know how it works. I was competent. I was a competent witch for probably 15 of my 20 years. It's real. It works. There's a knowledge, and there's a fit. And I wasn't, when you're doing all the stuff, when you're lighting your candles and saying the words, great, all right, you're just playing, right? You're playing. When you understand the physics behind it, and that your emotion and your intent is the gasoline within this, and you're using a red candle because the color red resonates at a specific frequency, and that frequency resonates with the feeling of love, and using a lodestone or a rose, these are called catalysts. and catalysts will resonate, and you're resonating in the physical world the same way as this mason jar here I use for a glass, because I don't buy glasses. I just use spaghetti jars.
Yeah,
and
that's
whatever.
why I put my honey.
Fun.
I'm a beekeeper, and I use those for honey.
Nice. So this started as a thought. Your house you're in started as a thought. And you had to sit down and plan it. Then you had to take the effort to go out and cut down a tree and build it. Right. So you're manifesting in a three-dimensional, dense physical world from your mind. That's what we do on Earth here. Witchcraft is the same thing. Aleister Crowley, who wasn't a very nice guy, he said, I got it right here. Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Period. If you're building a business, you're conducting magic. If you are having a child, the most spiritual, sacred, metaphysical experience you will ever have in this world is having a child. Two people get together, and somehow this miracle happens, and you have a whole new soul coming out.
Now I notice that new soul doesn't come out of some kind of primordial soup.
Comes out of another human being, and it's just baptized, and water comes out.
That sounds like creation there, and it has got nothing to do with aliens.
No, it doesn't, unless the DNA was started by them. And that's most certainly good. I mean, when you and that's when you get into theology, you got to define
if you were to
God.
pick, okay, so if aliens had a hand or a claw in man creation or whatever, I mean, is it more likely to be the reptilians, the greys, the insectoids? Who'd it be?
I have no idea. I don't. I've never seen aliens that I'm aware of. But the Bible, God said, angels have walked among you and spoken with you, and you have not known.
Okay. All right. We've got more. Let me just cut you off here real quick. To get a number of these questions, we'll go back to our talk. This is from Richard, are there great deposits of gold in the Grand Canyon now?
If there are, they haven't been told. Not a lot based on the geology. The Grand Canyon is caused from the Colorado Plateau raising up in the air about 1 mile. Okay, Colorado Plateau is it's a stratification of deposition of sandstone and limestone layers over 750 million years. Top is the Kaibab limestone, followed by the Coconino sandstone, Torweep sandstone. You have the Red Wall limestone, which was another bit. And then you have the Supai group getting into the basement rock. It's the guide coming out in me as a Grand Canyon guide. You have all of this. So you basically have limestone and sandstone stratified for 750 million years. You have a lot of caves in the limestone, and you have a lot of stuff carved out in the sandstone, but you don't have a ton of igneous rock, and gold likes to come up in the igneous rock. That's where it's formed. I believe the Grand Canyon to be to house treasures beyond our belief. As a Grand Canyon guide, and I've been in the Grand Canyon over about 975 times now. I used to go there 3 times a week from Phoenix as a guide. I can tell you that 95% of people go to the South Rim, and they look over. The average person spends 15 minutes looking in the Grand Canyon. If you out there ever go to Grand Canyon, I want you to sit down, kick back, sit your heels up, get you a coffee, and just look at that for a half an hour at least. Just do it for Corey, all right? Get there, and it's the 7th one in the world. It's one of the creators of the most beautiful creations. Just look at it and contemplate something with someone that you love.
Wow.
It's absolutely amazing to look at. I never get bored. But I think there's hidden treasures in there. Another 2 or 3% people walk down into the Grand Canyon, and out of them, 95% go down the Bright Angel Trail or the South Kaibab Trail or the North Trail coming down. No one really goes off into the other side. So it's this little tiny cross section of the Grand Canyon never gets visited.
Okay, but is the entirety of the Grand Canyon open? I heard that there were some areas that the government blocks off and doesn't let anybody in.
Oh, yes, there is. So from the first snow to about the 5th of May, the North Rim gets locked off because of the snow. Granted, you're at 8,000 foot elevation up there, but is it just the snow? I don't know.
No,
I don't like when government blocks off land because I feel to be all sneaky. It's our land, right?
Okay. All right. Don says, Corey, you got any thoughts on the A blood type?
No, not. I mean, blood types in general, you can trace back to, again, genetic lineages where people were isolated in certain pockets of the earth. As far as that, no, I haven't really studied it. I haven't studied it.
Okay. Well, let's go. What about Rh negative blood?
I hear a lot of talk of Rh negative blood in the occulted world, as well as O negative. There's a lot of people that believe that O negative harbor certain abilities. I don't know about that. I wouldn't doubt it.
Corey, we're in the year 2021. Any significance of that being the year 2021? You got 2 2s, you got an O, you got a 1. I mean, it's helter skelter right there.
There's a lot of numerology that plays. If you go to an article I wrote about COVID-19, de-occulting COVID-19, the end game, you can. It's one of the more recent de-occultings I've done. You can read about the numerology of the dates and times and all that stuff in there. Mm-hmm. It's quite complex. I don't want to get into it here, but there's quite a bit.
Okay. What is your opinion on DMT?
DMT. I was very. I've never done it. Have you done DMT, babe? I have. I think you have. It's extremely powerful. It's extremely. I understand. It's. It occurs naturally in everything.
Wait a minute. Your love says she did.
Yeah. Doctor.
Does she travel somewhere? What happened?
Come here, babe. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. There's room for 2 here.
I got you both. I got you both in the screen. Oh, aren't you guys adorable? Hey, you know that, I don't know if you know this, but Corey is the 4th member of ZZ Top. Just letting you know.
Isn't his beard great?
Okay, so what happened? So you did some DMT. What happened?
Okay.
Well, it's actually really very otherworldly. You take a couple of hits, you hold it in, you breathe it in really deeply, and you hold your breath as long as you can. Then you exhale and you take another, and you exhale and you take another, and you lay down. And if you've held your breath well enough and you've assimilated enough of the chemistry, you have an absolute out-of-body experience. I have met Mother Gaia. I had an experience one time where I was lying down and I saw the light of my soul filling the space of the room that I was in. And at first there was this light and I couldn't understand where it was coming from. And I was looking around and I realized as the light was moving away from me that it was coming from me. It was my light. The thing that you learn the most when you take DMT is that you are part of something more, that your soul and your energy and your intellect carry on beyond your body. And you feel a very deep connection to the divine. It is an absolutely spiritual, beautiful journey.
How long does it last?
Anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes. It doesn't last very long, but it feels like you're there for. It feels timeless. I know that I'm
like marriage in a good way.
Oh, this is a first on-screen kiss, man.
There's only one right answer for that.
Somebody in the live chat said you guys are such a knowledgeable couple.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. The one thing you walk away from it when I go, there's music, and I know that I'm going where I'm going is that I hear a certain music that I don't have only ever heard one other place in the physical plane. And the sound of this music is absolutely etheric.
Wow. A lot of people talk about the elf mechanics.
I have seen those.
Okay, talk about those real quick because a lot of people will be interested in that.
Okay, so there are a lot of interesting, because you're traveling interdimensionally. And there are dimensional beings out there that are wanting to give you knowledge, and it is almost impossible to describe your experience.
That's what everyone says.
Because your brain is traveling at the speed of light, and you are taking in so much information at the speed of light, and you're understanding it very clearly, and then you get back and your vocabulary doesn't come anywhere near close. So I met these small little characters, and they brought me this very complicated piece of machinery. It was a clock, and it had 7 or 8 hands on it and all of these wheels, and it made its own sound. It had its own sound, and they showed me how to dismantle it and reassemble it. And they were excited and happy. It was extremely cool. It was extremely cool.
What did these beings look like?
Oh God, small, little.
Were you ever worried that you would get back to to reality? Do you ever feel like you may have slipped out and you're going to keep going out and not come back? Or you always always feel connected by like a silver cord of some kind?
A lot of people, when they do DMT, they call it the DMT death, because when you astral plane that far, or when you separate from your body that far, it can feel very terrifying for a minute. I have never felt afraid. I've never felt afraid when I've done this. One time when I did this, I had a visitation from a friend who had died.
Whoa.
And he was there, so big, and it was so clear. And he spoke to me and said some things to me I needed to hear. And I will tell you that it is a way for connecting to the other side. It is a way for understanding your true nature, and it is a way for understanding the eternal nature of our beings in creation.
Was this before you met Corey?
Yeah.
Did you meet Corey while on DMT before you met him in the natural?
No, but for many, many, many years, when I would go to sleep at night, there were these two blue eyes that would look at me in the dark before I would go to sleep. And when I met Corey, those were his eyes.
Wow. Corey, what do you say to that?
Well, thank you, baby. Put me on the spot. I met Alicia. I interviewed her during the Isaac Cappy investigation. I was put in touch with her when I went into the family Hamburguesa. What? I'm falling off. Oh, sorry. That's where I met her, and she said, I got something to tell you about Isaac, about his house, about the time we spent there, what he said to me the last hours before, yada, yada, yada. So we did an interview, and I masked the voice at the time. She's since come out and said, yes, that was me, and we made it clear that it was her that I interviewed. At the time, there were death threats. People were after her.
What?
I've received it. This Isaac Cappy thing's a big thing. This Isaac gets into Epstein.
Yeah.
Isaac Cappy spearheaded an underground social media event called Unseal Epstein, and he died. And then Tracy Twyman, who also went to the FBI 8 weeks after Isaac, she was found hanged in her garage. Another person was found hanged in his garage, and then Epstein was arrested and died. People have died around this thing the entire time. They squirrel-holed the entire investigation, and I'm one of the only people out. Well, there's a couple other people that are digging, but I interviewed all the witnesses. We put it together. It's sort of a big thing. I was on Sean Atwood's show about a month and a half ago. The biggest show he ever did out of the UK. We had 9,000 people watching.
Nice.
I've been on. I've talked about this on 78, Red Pill 78. I've been on Caravan to Midnight. We've talked about this all over the world at this point. It's sort of a big thing. But anyway, I did a tour 2 summers ago after the investigation. We're still doing it. We're still doing it, actually. But the mind map was released, and I picked up my group. I had 24 people from Deutschland. I picked up in San Francisco. We drove them for 3 weeks around all the parks in the Southwest, dropped them back off at Santa Monica, and went back up to San Francisco to drop off the gear. And I took a bus down, and I met Alicia. And basically, I know what you mean by alpha male, dude. I saw her on the street, and I just kind of smiled at her. I just grabbed her and threw her up against the car and kissed her and took her. And that was it. No wonder.
Okay, can you show
That's how we met. I just grabbed her and kissed her and said, "I love you. I think I want you." And then 2 months later, she moved to Phoenix, and we've been together ever since.
Well, you're obviously neither one of you guys were shy being on the show. So why don't you guys reenact that kiss?
I can't do that. No.
No.
Oh,
we have another channel for that.
Oh
my God.
Kidding.
Wow. Start with an X, right? So both of you guys, you obviously are really well connected. I mean, anybody watching the show can see that. So there's some sort of spiritual connection there that goes beyond just. I mean, you guys are just intermingling.
There is.
Like
I mean,
one. So what do you got to say to people out there that haven't found their spiritual partner like that? I mean, you guys evidently have. I have found mine. What about those that say they don't exist? I guess we're going into dating advice now for some people.
I mean, I'd like to recommend that you just kind of walk down Hollywood Boulevard like I did and grab a pretty blonde, throw her up against the car and kiss her, but you get in trouble.
You might not get a girl either.
You might not get a girl.
Whoa, man.
It is Hollywood.
Wow.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really an expert. I've been successfully married twice. So, that ain't a good thing necessarily. Go get marriage advice. But we found each other in an extremely emotional, hard situation. And I was brutally honest with her about the time. She was honest about her experience. Mm-hmm. We were kind of baptized in fire, the love. And we just, when I was going to spend a week with her, and I spent 2.5, maybe 3 weeks with you. I think what it was, 2 weeks at least. And we just clicked. And if we'd have met earlier, we wouldn't have, I don't think we would have, made it different times. We met each other at the right time after we'd done enough screwing up on our own and we knew what we wanted. Find a friend, find someone that you want to be around and want to wake up new extra day every day. That being said, you got to be yourself too. Don't lose yourself in anybody, but be with someone who you actually love to be with. Because it's amazing what passes for love these days, and people get lazy in themselves. I told her, I'm not, I have responsibilities as a mate. A man shouldn't be drunk. He should work. You should take care of your body for your lover. You should be the best person you can. You got to put the energy into your relationship or marriage the same way you would your job or your work or your book that you're writing. You're going to get out of it what you put into it. And you know what? Unconditional love is for the birds, man, because there are conditions on love. Because if there ain't conditions on love, it's BS. And people are out doing dumb crap all day long. There's got to be conditions on love. You got to respect that person, So
you guys would you guys say that you're on a journey?
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
So what is this journey leading to? Are you guys are there two different parts of you going the same path, or is it you're both like this going the same path? How's that all working as your search for truth and your enigmas?
Well, you have your work. Alicia is well, tell them what you are and what you do. Rattle them off.
Well, I've had a private practice in holistic health for the last 20 years, and I help people get healthy. I use aromatherapy. I'm a certified clinical aromatherapist. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I help people get their physical and spiritual lives on track. And but I'm kind of also a crusader. I fight against child trafficking and the abuse of children. And this is where, Corey's studies about his, the Masonic influence in the world. That's what makes him him, and my holistic practice and art makes me me. And together we meet in the middle on our crusade against these other things. And this is where, we have a similar view in the world, and we have a similar way of experiencing the world. I will say that find somebody who has more similarities to you than differences, because differences eventually rub. And
so that one thing that the difference, a lot of people hype that up, that being different really might not.
Diversity is not a strength.
It is not a strength.
Diversity for the sake of diversity is not a strength. Absolutely not.
There's a larger truth with that there, Corey.
Yeah.
There's a larger
it
truth
really
there.
is.
So Alicia, how important, and then Corey, you asked the same thing, how important is the spiritual part of living, and how do you work that into the day-to-day humdrum of doing stuff?
My spiritualness is in my work. I used to practice witchcraft. And then like I said, I grew through my religion. And when you realize that the brain is an organ, it's like a heart, it's like a liver, it's like anything else, right? But it's a brain. It's a third to fourth dimensional interface biological computer, able to be able to do amazing things. I think we're just now learning what we can tap into with our brains. I followed a lot of Native American teachings, and Stalking Wolf was one of them. And he said, observation is next to spirituality. What you can observe in the world, if you can't observe things and you're not looking and really looking and searching, you're not going to be spiritual. You can't sit down and put your face in front of a television, idiot box, and have your brain go into alpha and be in receptive mode and seek spiritual advancement. You need to be in the sun. You need to be interacting. You need to be breathing, moving.
Corey takes me out into the desert and up into the mountains, and we go hunting, we go mushroom photographing, we look at nature. We do those kinds of things.
It's been hard in the last year.
It's been hard with COVID, but we've been out a little bit.
We got plans, and we have a lot more stuff we do. We go walking every day. But your spirituality comes from with me when I grew through the witchcraft and realized there's a larger truth here. It's about the energy. I internalized it, and I once read a quote, and it said, "A man who's mastered an action or an art, a man who masters an art reveals it in his every action." And I used to do martial arts, and there was an Aikido master that came in, and he never said too much. He kind of floated when he walked, and two guys were fighting one day, and he just went in there and put his hand on each of their shoulder and diffused the entire situation, which is a touch. The guy mastered the spiritual art of Aikido. When you start applying the lessons of energy and manifestation to your work and living it through the values, you read the red letters. If you can't read anything else in here, you follow what the red words say, you're going to be all right in here. And those are true words, and you'll begin living a spiritual life by living good.
You're a red word analyst. Oh, okay, Alicia, same question to you.
Um,
How important is the spiritual component and how do you work that into your day-to-day practice?
Well, when you get into each other's energy, you have a spiritual connection. So, positive physical touching, kissing, hugging, those things are really important, and they keep you close to each other. So, and they build an energy that can't be found anyplace else. And it is a really spiritual, personal thing. It's unique to you and your partner. And,
well, you're also a massage therapist, and touching is healing.
Yeah. Massage therapist, Reiki master. So, the idea of touch and physical connection is really important. And spending time with each other with all the devices off. And even if it's a half an hour, just where we have a coffee, we sit outside and have breakfast together, or we take a walk. Just being in each other's space without all of the distraction from everything else in the world. When we go to bed at night, we hold hands, when we go to sleep. And
so you're kind of like otters, because I understand otters, when they float, the male and female hold each other.
We are like otters.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
So cute.
We keep a 400 pound supply of kelp in the garage and wrap ourselves up in it every night before we go to bed.
Hey, by the way, guys.
No, we don't. That's weird and itchy.
In the live chat, Grammy for Truth says, "So proud of you, Corey and Alicia."
Grammy! Hey, Grammy! Grammy's one of our regular viewers. For those of you who never met us before, Alicia and I do a broadcast every night, most nights of the week together. They go 2 to 4 hours usually, and we cover a lot of news topics and stuff like that. So we are co-hosts together.
Yeah. Now, Alicia, Corey said at the beginning of the broadcast, I guess you're responsible for that thing that's smoking in the background there.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? What is going on there? I forgot.
Okay, that is an essential oil nebulizer.
Oh.
It's a what is it? An atomic diffuser. So you put a little water in there, and there's a little gadget in there that vibrates the water and turns it into a mist and puts your essential oil up into the air. Now, so you get a little humidifying, and you get some essential oil aromatherapy up into the air for your lungs.
Does that calm Corey down if he gets nervous and stuff?
Well, it calms him down, but if he puts lemongrass in before a show, he gets really ramped up. Oh,
hey, Michelle Diaz says, "I agree with Grammy for Truth. Love Alicia and Corey."
Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Michelle. Thank you.
No, so have you guys been on the shows together? You seem so natural at it.
On other shows, we did the Sean Atwood show together, but we do our own show every night. So
Now, how can people see your guys' show?
What's that?
How do people see your show?
Well, you're going to have to go to DLive. As we've been kicked off of Periscope, we've been kicked off of Facebook, we've been kicked off to YouTube, which means I'm one of the good guys.
Right. That's a badge of honor right there, bro.
So we kicked off all of that. I got deplatformed off of Patreon 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Yep. And so you can go to DLive and see us. You can go to Theta. Twitch. We're on Float, Flote. You might want to check that out if you're not on Float yet. Trovo and Tiger Network. We're on those 6. You go to the front screen of my website and scroll down just a little bit and say view here live, and click on that, and it's got 3 of the. I got to put the rest in there. But 3 of the links take to the live shows. Go ahead and go to Theta and DLive and subscribe, and you'll get the notification. There's not like YouTube. If you're on Theta or DLive, you're going to get no, because DLive just demonetized anyone talking about politics.
Notify anybody. So, but Twitch notifies.
Theta notifies.
No, Theta's not notifying right now.
No?
No.
Float will then.
Float will notify, and Twitch will notify.
It's hard right now. We're being herded like rabbits in a field, and they're driving us to the corners of the internet, and they're isolating their target audience, the sheeple and the Democrats and the zombies, so they can propagandize to them, while at the same time they can have us all collected in a small place and come after us. And that's what they're doing right now with the propaganda for the whole Q thing, and the legislation and all that, all those show trials, just communist show trials right now, left and right across the entire country.
All right. Well, earlier, Alicia, I asked Corey this question. I want to ask you: are you going to take the vaccine? And
nope.
I know it's not called a vaccine, but that's what they call it.
Well, no, I'm not going to. I have a lot of scientific reasons for not taking it. I have a lot of physical health reasons for not taking it. There is nothing good about this. I was extremely pleased to hear from my son and his wife that they're not vaccinating themselves or their child with it. So no, the answer is no. An emphatic capital letter no.
Yeah. I think I told Corey earlier that my last week's show was deleted off YouTube because we're talking about COVID-19. I call it Cooties 19.
I have been listening. I think that's great.
But yeah, again, it's like a badge of honor, Corey, when you get a YouTube. And, I'm going to end up getting off of YouTube, but I got so many videos, I'm going to gravitate toward Rumble. But it's interesting, though, how you say that we're getting herded in a little area, and the rest of freaks are remaining in sort of the open area. But they know who we are. They know where we're at. It's not like we're hiding.
If you need to quickly archive your YouTube stuff, you can archive it using Libry, and when you set a Libry, and when you set that up, you set up a channel on there and you sync it with your YouTube channel, and it will upload everything you have on your YouTube channel. It'll take a couple of days, but it'll do it.
It'll grab it all.
It'll archive it all without any issue.
Who's holding that data?
Libry. LBRY.
Free?
LIBRY.
Yeah. My problem was my website was integrated with all my YouTube videos from my YouTube channel. So when they killed my YouTube channel, a lot of my articles that I had embedded stuff into, I had to go through and find out where, especially with the Isaac Capping map, I had to redo the whole entire thing. It really, really was a pain in the ass. But that's what they're doing. They're just demonetizing us, and they are cancel culturing anyone who does not agree with the narrative. And the narrative is death. The narrative is death and control and oppression and tyranny. Flat out.
It doesn't end well. Well, let me ask you something. In every science fiction movie, especially in the past decades, it always showed a future of some tyrannical government. But in almost every situation, like equilibrium, you name it, there's an underground group of radicals that resist, or I guess resistors, you might say. And then eventually those little cores overturn the big system. Are you part of that resistance?
I think we all are.
I think so. I've been telling people to start writing down their personal histories.
Especially the older people.
Yeah, tell your stories. Write it down in a journal, write it down on paper, because the younger generations are going to need to know what it was like. Because in 2 generations, our children and grandchildren are not going to know.
Mm-hmm.
So if
this will be wiped off in 2 generations.
They're going to ask, who was Dr. Seuss?
Right. So tell your stories. Tell stories about what it was like when you played outside. Tell stories about what the politics were like and how small the government was 55, 60 years ago. Tell those stories.
Tell stories how you used to grab your .22 rifle and go out with your dog and go hunt some rabbits in the afternoon out in the woods and come home and eat it, you know?
Yeah. Or how you could go into a national park without having to pay. Tell the stories, because these things are going to be lost.
Or travel without having some, overweight freaking soy boy goon feeling up your woman and your kid,
right?
Swabbing you for everything. It's culture conditioning. Mm-hmm. We're being, and I knew it as soon as they said you got to take off your belt or your shoes. Remember that it was the shoes first because the shoe bomber hoax.
Right.
And I said, man, they get to take your shoes off. They're going to take something else off. And what was next? The belt. Why? Because you take your belt off, you're one step away from taking off your pants, and that is a vulnerable position. Then they told all the men, we're going to feel up your woman right there in front of you. They're demasculating men and families. I mean, all the commercials, mm-hmm. all the sitcoms are geared to demasculate the man.
Yeah.
That's what they're intended to actually do. And we've had 2 generations of this now. It started back in the 80s, right? And every single stupid show on Netflix now has a gay couple or 2 or 3 in it. Why? Gays are 3% of the population. Right. Okay, great. Go live in peace. Go do your own thing. But I know damn well they ain't 50%. Mm-hmm. They have a channel for them now.
That's like massive over-representation.
It absolutely is. And more people are identifying the youth now that they may be gay, and they're questioning it, and it's okay to, well, no, you're probably not. And the science is there. Kids who think that they're gay figure it out by the age 13, 14, 15, and they go, okay, I wasn't, I guess, whatever. Nature's nature. It's kind of it's a touchy topic for a lot of people. We talk about this quite a lot on our channel. I interviewed one of our listeners, a friend of mine, Love for All Humans. He's a gay man. We had a lot of gay listeners, mm-hmm. and they appreciate it, and they write in and tell us all the time, hey, half the gays out there are conservative. We ain't okay with the drag in schools. We ain't okay with the drags here. Drag is it's a personal freak. It's a personal sexual thing. It's most certainly sexual. Kink. We do it in bars. We do it away from children. We have a lot of very, very honest talks about the world, about sexuality, about race, and how it ties into the occult and mass mind control and manipulation. And this ties into the ancient strategies used in symbols and the techniques used for indoctrinating people. There's nothing new under the sun. The same thing that a king did in the day when he held up a banner, is the same thing today when they hold up a logo for Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Chevron or whatever. It's the same sorcery. And there's no difference between sorcery and technology. Nothing. It's identical. Those 2 terms are completely interchangeable. It's just getting more technology these days, mm-hmm. and it's going to the technological sphere as opposed to the analog.
Mm. Well, Corey and Alicia, we're getting at the end of the broadcast, and I'll give you each a chance to just kind of give us words of wisdom, thoughts, talk about the website, any words of wisdom. Go ahead. Alicia, start with you and end with Corey there.
You know what? Take care of each other and take care of yourselves right now. Make sure you're taking time to unwind your brain before you go to bed at night. Make sure that you're eating well, the best you can. Try and sleep. I know we all lay in bed at night thinking about everything going on in the world around us, and we need to be able to get through it. So take care of your body and take care of your spirit and take care of each other. If you are not hearing from your friends or family, call them up. Go over. They're lifting all these mask mandates. Start getting out, and continue to check on each other, because we have 4 years of a real long road here, and we may start coming out of this COVID thing a little bit and coming back to some kind of old normal ish, but we're going to need to really take care of each other. Make sure that, you know, your loved ones have enough food in the house. If they don't, make sure they've got some. Do what you can to take care of each other. It's going to become really necessary. Grow a garden if you can, and it's starting to warm up. Plant some food. Plan with your neighbors. Each of you grow one thing so you get a big crop of it and then share it out. Learn how to bake bread. Corey is the best bread maker I've ever known. And making, you know, simple things like that just to take care of yourself. Do those kind of things and love on each other a lot. That's what I have to say.
Okay, Corey, before you start, Shark Belly Kelly says, "Hey, Alicia and Corey."
Hi, Shark.
Hey, Kelly. Yeah.
But Corey, go ahead. Finish this on.
Yeah. You know, different message from me. Alicia's the healer. I'm not. We're at war. We're at war for the soul of our nation. We're at war for the soul of our republic. We're at war for our bodies and our health and our children. This is a very real war. Over 100 million people died in the last century to something called democide, death by government. Most of that, 90%, was at the hands of the damn communists. Okay? We are at war against global communism now, and that's coming and taking the form of what Bush and Reagan and all of them, Clinton, said, the New World Order. It's here. It's not in the future. We are living through it. We're halfway through. They're implementing these things. We're under attack chemically. We're under attack in our mind, our souls, economically. You know, understand we're at war, and circle your wagons. Call your family. Call your brothers. You know, rely on your family.
Make a plan.
Make a plan. Be true and be honest to yourself and to others, and realize what's really important, guys. We need men. Men, if you're out there, okay, quit wearing the tight jeans. Quit drinking the soy. Grow a freaking beard. Be a man. Man up. Fix shit around your house. Be a man. Take your kids out. Do what you got to do. Women, help your man. Be the woman of the house. Be that team that complements each other. It's not man versus woman, okay? They sold us that crap a long time ago. It's not. It's man and woman versus the world. We have been at odds with nature until 1900. Man and woman have complemented each other. Don't buy into the sorcery coming through television and coming through the ads. You know, buy stuff secondhand if you don't need it new. I know it's hard right now with 60% of all businesses shutting down and Amazon, you know, pulling everything in. But buy a 6-pack of beer, a bottle of wine, go to your neighbor's house at night and say, hey, let's go outside and look at the stars and talk. Get to know people again. Take it back to basics, because we're going to win the war. We're going to win this war in community. You need to understand more than anything, they're after the destruction of your family, because the family unit is the basis for all your freedom in this world. The family unit leads to strong families, leads to strong neighborhoods and communities, which leads to strong towns and states. And if they can destroy that, they can begin centralizing the power of the federal government when your states are all broken up. They're after the destruction of that family. So heal your family if you have problems. Learn to forgive, because the opposite of love isn't hate. It is indifference.
And besides that, now I don't got to check with Facebook before I go visit my neighbor, do I? See if it's okay?
I wouldn't.
No.
Well, Corey and Alicia, I appreciate you coming on the Edge broadcast, man. Can we have you on again sometime?
Anytime. Just shoot me an email.
Okay, I will do. And I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice evening.
You
All
too.
right.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.